Hello everyone. It is Jackie from Pocket to Preschool, and tonight we are talking all about behavior management and green and red choices. So if you are here with me live, pop in the comments and tell me if you already use green and red choices in your classroom, or how many years you've been using it, and maybe a success story that you want to share with us. So yeah, go ahead and pop that in the comments. And then I want to tell you a couple things that are at the top of this post. So at the top of this post, you will find a link to a blog post. So if you want to read more about green and red choices, you can do that there. You can grab it on TPT up there. And there's also links to like the Facebook group and all those things in the top of this post. So real quick, behaviors, right? Like I think that is the hardest thing in the classroom, because we can teach letters and math all day, but if you are having challenging behaviors and your class is out of control and your classroom management is lacking none of all of those amazing lesson plans that you have planned, you're not going to be able to execute them effectively because the class is going to be in chaos. So behavior management is huge. And as we all know, this crazy world that we live in right now, we really need to teach our kiddos how to behave appropriately and how to be kind and accepting to others. So behavior management in my classroom, what it looks like is as I use green and red choices. And what green and red choices is, it's a universal support. So basically it's for every child in your classroom. So universal support is that something that everyone in your classroom is using. So it's a universal support to teach kiddos the expected behaviors using visuals. So our little guys can't read, right? So what better way to pair teaching is with a visual, right? You always want to be telling them and showing them, and we want them to be able to see it too, right? Because the more ways you can teach them something, the more likely they are going to be to pick it up or respond, right? Because sometimes when you're dealing with behaviors and a child is upset, which then raises your anxiety too, sometimes just pairing it with a visual is huge, because they may not be processing all of the auditory stuff you're saying to them, but they may be able to process this little icon that says, okay, it's time to clean up now. And just pairing that visual sometimes is just enough for some of those kiddos. It's that extra support that they need to allow them to be successful in your classroom. So I'm going to tell you tonight how I introduce green and red choices and how I use it all year long and all the things. That way you can use it in your classroom and be successful with it as well. So one thing that people are always surprised is I do not introduce green and red choices until about the 4th or 5th day, because those first 3 days, like especially if you have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, or even if you have kinders, because let's face it, a lot of those kindergartners, depending on where you live, they may have never been in a classroom. So you're literally teaching them how to sit at circle, how to transition from like circle to snack, or how to walk in a line to the playground. Like you're just getting those very basic procedural, all those things going. And then like I never put behavior stuff on top of that, because let's face it, you don't get to it. There's just no way. Because like my circle times this week, today's my 2nd day, we read a book about hand washing. We talked about how to wash our hands, and we sang our hand washing song, and then we all went to the bathroom and we washed our hands in the bathroom and practiced that. So that was my entire circle. So I did not get to any behavior things. So I really start teaching behaviors around day 4, and then basically the rest of the year. But so don't bombard your kiddos with green and red choices those first couple days. Just build those relationships, build those hugs, or give them hugs, give them high fives, do all of those things. That way, when you're ready to introduce green and red choices, you have them hooked, they trust you, and they know you care. Because if that relationship's not there, it doesn't matter what you're teaching, right? Even if you have amazing things, it's kind of like relationships are first. You have to have amazing relationships with your kiddos. They have to know and you love them, and they have to trust you, and they have to feel safe. And then they need all those social skills. So relationships, they need all those social skills. And then we can teach them all of the amazing literacy and math and STEM and science, all those things. So like I said, I do not introduce green and red choices until at least day 4, and it depends on the class. Sometimes I wait a little bit longer. It really just, you gotta read those kiddos. So again, green and red choices makes you teaching behaviors very clear, and it helps you be consistent as well, because you're saying the same vocabulary over and over. If you have a classroom team, or if you're in a half day or full day, or you have therapists coming in and out of your classroom, or you have just a team of teachers in your classroom, because when I taught full day, there was at least 4 teachers on my teaching team at once, if not more, because you have paras and therapists and all of those other people helping all your little ones. If you're using the same behavior management system for all of it, everyone is going to be using the same vocabulary. It's a lot clearer for the kiddos, and it's a lot clearer for the staff too. So they know what to say when a behavior happens. Like, oh, is that a green choice or is that a red choice? So that way it's clear, consistent, and it works great when you have a lot of staff on your team, and so you can all work together too. So what I do to teach green and red choices is I use tons and tons of books. So the first time I introduce it, we talk about what green choices are. And I never start with this many. When I figure out my kiddos after those first couple days, and I go, well, no one is spitting, and no one is hitting, and no one is kicking. So I take all of those off of the red choices, because if your kiddos are not spitting and they're not kicking, and let's say they're not breaking things, and let's say they're not kicking, and no one is hitting, no one is laying their body on the floor, take those off. Because if they're not doing a behavior, do not give them more ideas. We don't want to do that either, right? Like maybe they're not coloring on the furniture. And there's tons and tons of red choice cards and tons of green choice cards included. So pick the ones pick the problem behaviors that you're seeing, put those on the red choice side, and then pick the green choices that you think are the most important for your kiddos. Like mine, big thing I noticed the first couple days is we really need to practice our walking feet. My kids are running everywhere to everything. I don't know if they're excited or they're just active, or they just need to get their energy out, which then I can also do other things in my classroom to help them get that energy out at other times. But I definitely will have walking feet on my green choices. So I might, I'll take some of these off, and I would maybe only have the top full, or you can just spread them out. And all these it's literally a green piece of poster board, and this is a red one. And you always want your green to be bigger than your red, because these are what we want them to do, and this is what we don't want them to do. So make this one smaller, and that way you can focus on all the positive things, all the things you want them to do. And all of the green choices too, they are all phrased in a positive way. So it says like, use my walking feet. It says listen. So you won't see any cards that say like, don't run, don't do this, don't do that. Because when you focus on the negative, then you're focusing on the negative. You want to focus on the positive and phrase everything in a positive light. So use your walking feet, work hard, throw your trash away, use a quiet voice, use material safely. Don't cut your friend's hair would not be a card you'll see, but you'll see use material safely on there. So before you even teach it, look at your kiddos, notice what behaviors you are seeing them do, and put those on the red choices, so that way you have talking points, and you can be like, oh, throwing things across the classroom is a red choice. Like my kiddos, today we were doing journals, and they're like, oh, you want the red marker? And they're like launching them across the table. And they were being very kind. They're like, oh, you want red here? And they were just throwing it across, being very kind to their friend, because their friend needed the red marker. And that's likely, right? So we just want to go, oh, you know what? Instead of, throwing is a red choice, what can we do instead? Oh, we can like roll it down the table, or whatever you want to be the appropriate behavior for your classroom. Maybe you can hand it to them, or hand it to a friend and they can give it to them. So that would be using gentle hands with our markers when we give them to our friends. Instead of throwing. So you want to look at your kiddos, see what they're doing, put those on the red choice side, Put the green choices on the ones you want them to do, that they're not doing, or that you think are the most important, and don't have as many at the beginning. Because if you have too many, it's gonna be overwhelming, and it could be like too many for them to process. So too much language. So especially if you have kiddos with language delays, you don't want to give them too much language to process. So give them just the green choices that you know that you want to teach first, and give them the red choices that you know that you're seeing them do, but that you don't want them to do anymore. You don't want them to continue. And it could be too that they just don't know that you're not supposed to throw your friend the red marker. And I've seen this in a lot of teacher groups right now. Oh my God, it was the first day. My kids are a hot mess. They're doing everything wrong. They won't listen to me. They won't sit at circle. Well, if they're 3 and they've never been to school before, they literally don't know what to do. So you have to teach them all those things. And green and red choices is the perfect way to do it, because you can use the visual and tell them what you want them to do. So I don't know if you know this book. It says, How Do Dinosaurs Play with Their Friends? I'm sure you guys are familiar with this series. How Do Dinosaurs Play with Their Friends? No, David Goes to School. Those are 2 really great books to introduce it. If you don't like the No David books, that's okay. Just find a book in your classroom that you have in your classroom library where either the kids are doing all the right things or they're doing some of the wrong things. It's totally up to you. So you can read through the book and say, oh, you know what? We're gonna learn about green and red choices today. And a green choice is something that makes your heart happy and that makes other people's hearts happy and that is safe. And it's a way that we can take care of our classroom and ourselves and our friends. So those are green choices. Red choices are things that could hurt us or hurt someone else or hurt our classroom. And you make it just super simple. You don't have to say, these are horrible things, never do it. If you do it, you're a horrible human being. Like, no. You just say, you know, red choices can hurt yourself, someone else, or your school. And, you know, we love our friends and we love our school and we love ourselves. So we want to take care of them and make green choices instead. And you know what? Sometimes we make red choices and we just go, oops, and then we can fix it and change it real quick. Because one thing when you say that's a bad choice or that's not okay, well, obviously if it's like a safety thing, like if someone's going to get hurt, you want to stop that behavior immediately. And you may have to raise your voice or something just to get that child to stop, to make sure no one gets hurt in that very like let's say someone's like running and they're gonna run into the window or something and hit their head on the glass. You obviously are gonna treat that very differently than if someone is just, you know, running in the classroom. You say, oh, you know, I see you have running feet. Can you make a green choice and use your walking feet? So yeah, so you just wanna phrase it where you're saying, oh, is that a green choice or is that a red choice? And then you're making it about the choice. You're not saying, oh, that's a bad choice, you're like a bad kid. Because especially those quiet kiddos, especially if they have a lot of anxiety, if you say that's a bad choice, that could be enough for them, and they're done. The rest of the day, they're upset. They think that they are the bad choice. It's not, and they're upset with themselves, and they feel horrible. You can just see when and you know those kiddos too, where you give them a correction and you say, oh, that's a bad choice. They just like melt, and you can see like their body language changes, their facial expression change. They could cry, and they could have done it on accident or just they were excited. But if you say, oh, is that a green or a red choice? It kind of changes the way you're saying it, and it changes the way they're hearing it. So they're just hearing, oh, like, what am I doing right now? It's not, oh, am I the bad person? Am I the bad choice? Or what I'm doing right now is not safe. Oh, I'm gonna fix it. And she's giving me the opportunity to fix it. And you can just say, oh, is that a green or a red choice? And just one stop and think about what they're doing, and it gives them an opportunity to change it. Because when you say, oh, that's a bad choice, you're shutting them down. You're not giving them an opportunity to change. You're not giving them an opportunity to fix it, and you're just shutting them down. And for most kiddos, especially little guys, that could be enough, like I said, to ruin their day, ruin their week. And it's kind of like you, like if let's say you go to a staff meeting, you don't want to be called out in front of the entire staff at a staff meeting. Like, that's horrible. That's a horrible idea. Because I'm sure that's happened to you, right? Like, you get called out at a staff meeting and it's like mortifying. So just think about how often we do that for kiddos. Oh, that's a bad choice. And everyone looks at them and they're looked at horrible by their peers. And it just changes your tone in your classroom and it changes your day. So say, oh, is that a green or is that a red choice? Oh, what green choice can you make right now? And it just changes their attitude and everything. It's awesome. So I know some people are, I think it was Lisa commented, and if I'm not quoting you correctly, sorry, it flipped up on me in the comments. Some people I know do not put up the red choices at all. So this isn't even on their board, and they focus only on the positives. And if that's how you want to do it in your classroom too, that is totally a great idea to do. And like I said, you make this work for your classroom. This is just how I do it. These are my suggestions, and it's just what I've tried over the years and has worked for me. And I've used this in a full day classroom with 18 kids, and I had 25 on my roster. I had therapists would push in my classroom and help some of my friends with the minutes they required. I had regular ed friends too. But so this works for everyone, and it's great because it's a visual support system. So I kind of went off on a little thing, but so back to how I introduced it those first couple days. Cause I don't know. I always want to create a classroom community that is positive, and I think this is a great way to do it, with this green and red choices. So it just makes my heart happy. So I read a book like How Do Dinosaurs Play with Their Friends? And David Goes to School, and as we read the book, I say, oh, as we read this, I want you to give me a thumbs up if the dinosaur or if David is making a green choice, and I want you to give me a thumbs down if he's not making a green choice, or if he's making a red choice, put your thumbs down. And I know some people don't like How Do Dinosaurs Play with Their Friends because at the beginning he does all these horrible things. Right? He doesn't give his friends any tricycle rides. What else? Sorry, I went too far. But he hogs all the swings and the sandboxes and the slides. He doesn't give his friend any tricycle rides. It's a rhyming book too, if you've never heard this one. But what I do like about it is the dinosaur he made all these red choices at the beginning of the book. But look what happens. He knows how to play, and he treats everyone in the friendliest way. He shares all of his toys, and he gives turns on his bike. So what happens, and this happens a lot in your classroom, right? Somebody can make all these bad choices, and then they can flip their day around or flip their choice, and they can start making green choices. Or they can start making good choices, what we typically would call it. So I do love this book for that reason, because it shows kids, you know what? He made a mistake in the beginning, and you know what? That is okay. If you don't make a green choice, you can change your behavior and you can fix it, and you can turn your red choice into a green choice, because that's exactly what he does. He listens and asks, would you want one more turn? Good friend, little dinosaur. Oh, and this book, if you're wondering why it's upside down, on the back it's another one. But this is How Do Dinosaurs Play with Their Friends. It's also in a board book. So that's how I introduce it. So I read How Do Dinosaurs Play with Their Friends, or No, David Goes to School. I usually read this one. This one's my favorite. And we talk about, I have him do a thumbs up or a thumbs down if he's making a green or a red choice. And we talk about how he was making green choices, and then he changed it, he made red choice at the beginning, and then he changed it, and he's making red choice, or you know what I'm saying, I'm tongue-tied tonight. So at the beginning he made red choices, and then he made green choices at the end, and We talk about how his friends felt when he made the red choices. How do you think he feels when he's making red choices? Is he upset on the inside? Maybe his tummy is hungry. Or what can you do when you feel like making red choices? What can you do? Oh, you can tell a teacher, I'm hungry. I can tell a teacher I'm thirsty. Or you can tell a teacher, I feel upset right now. I need a hug. So you can read this many times, and you can revisit this over the school year if you see your kids struggling. And there's also different dinosaur books for different themes, like how do dinosaurs eat their food? How do dinosaurs stay safe? How do dinosaurs go to sleep? So yeah, how do dinosaurs play with their friends? How do dinosaurs learn their colors? How do dinosaurs play safe? These are, a lot of these I get through Scholastic too. So you can get them cheap. You can also get them, I'm sure, on Amazon. But I like these books because he makes red choice at the beginning and he changes it and he changes his day and then he makes green choice at the end. Because if somebody's having a bad morning, you don't want them to have a horrible rest of the day, right? You want them to be able to turn their day around for them and for you and for the other kids in your classroom and for your classroom community, right? And I will drop the links of these, all these books too. And if you do grab this on TPT, there is a book list in here, and it goes over all the things. That's how I introduce it. And it's a super simple way just to talk about how, what we want them to do, and how we want them to act. So, and it's a universal support. So if you do PBIS in your school, if you do Character Ed, this goes perfectly with PBIS. So you can use it as, a universal support for all your kiddos. If you use Character Ed, and you want to get rid of the red choices too, that's okay too. And you want to focus on the positive. Do what works for you and your school and your community and the kids you teach with. But yeah, so I'm going to tell you some other ways that you can use green and red choices during the year. So another way included in the pack, there's like, I don't know how many green choices and red choices are, but there's tons of them. So there's also a little social story. And let's say you have a friend who is making red choices. You can send this home with kiddos. You can put this in your lending library. You can put it in your classroom library, but it just says, I can make green choices. And it's super simple. It's the same visual as on the card, and it's just in a book. So it's the same super simple visual with the book. So that way the parents are reading it at home. And you don't have to have, when I put this book in the library, I do not put all of these in. I just put in the pages that match the green choices that are on my board, or the ones that we're focusing on right now. So you can put this in your library too. Another thing really quick. So this is more of a, just a management piece, but at the dollar store, they have, probably the Target dollar spot too sometimes, has those green and red, they're like little itty bitty pocket charts. I saw these ones in somebody's classroom. That way they don't have to use Velcro, because sometimes Velcro can get expensive. But this is one from the dollar store, but it's about the same size. But they have red and green little pocket charts, so you can totally do that too. If you want to put your green and red choices in there. So, like I said, so I use these at the beginning of the year to teach green and red choices, but I don't stop teaching social skills just because it's not the first month of school. I keep teaching social skills all year long. So this book I love, When I Was Little, by Jamie Lee Curtis. It talks about all the things you do when you're a baby. And then it talks about all the things you do now that you're a big kid. I love this book to read at the beginning of the year. So yeah, but it also, you can also, this is perfect for any book, not just this book, When I Was Little. If you have a character in your book, which all books have characters, right? And once you start doing it too, your kiddos will automatically start doing it. You can talk about the behaviors the child is doing. So let's say you're reading this book and you're talking about beginning, middle, and end. You can talk for just like one talking point during the middle of your book, and you can say, do you see the green choice she's making right now? Oh my gosh, she is helping her baby brother. Wow. And I'll just pretend like there's a helping one right here. Oh my gosh, I love that she is helping her baby brother. Wow, that's a great green choice. So you can use any book that you're reading. It doesn't have to be a social emotional book. You can use any book you're using to reinforce your green choices. I know somebody mentioned Llama Llama books. I saw in the comments. I do love Llama Llama book. So Llama Llama Red Pajama. It talks about how he basically has a temper tantrum at night before he goes to bed, and then he makes a green choice and goes to bed. He has a calm body, he closes his eyes, and he has a quiet voice. So you can talk about how he makes red choices but then turns it around, and what green choices he makes at the end so he can have a great night's sleep. Llama Llama Mad at Mama. He basically gets mad in the grocery store. And then Llama Llama Time to Share. This one is one of my favorites, but it talks about sharing. And again, as you're reading this, you point and use the visuals that you have on your green choices card and teach them how you want them to act in your classroom. And then you can also too, put it in a classroom. So even though this llama is on a play date at his house, for Llama Llama Time to Share, you can be like, when you're in the block center and you have your favorite car, but your friend Joe wants that car too, oh, that's just like Llama Llama. What can you do if you're in the block center and you have your favorite car and Joe wants it too? What could we do? Could we share? Could we take turns? So read the book and then talk about the green and red choices and then turn it into a classroom example. Because little guys, especially 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, have a hard time going from one setting. It's called generalizing the skill. So it's going from one setting to a different setting. So he could be your kiddos are gonna understand that at home, just like Llama Llama is, they can share and they can do these things and they can make these green choices. But you want them to generalize it to the classroom. So sometimes you just have to give them those examples and talk about it after you read or as you read. And again, all of these books are in the green and red choices pack in my TPT store. I actually keep it in a binder because I keep all my green and red choice cards at the front. And then there's a whole bunch of teacher pages to give you ideas, but there is a giant book list to help you guys. So around Christmas time, when your kiddos are bananas, there are some ideas of books you can read during the holiday season. There's again, a No David holiday book, and there's a Pout Pout Fish book. So you can read one of those books and talk about how and reteach your green and red choices, because just because you teach it once does not mean you're done teaching it all year, because we all know we have to keep teaching those social skills over and over and over, because those are those soft skills, right? They're those people skills. Those are the hardest ones to learn because they're the hardest for adults, right? Well, how many times do you go to a meeting and you get in a group and there's one person who doesn't know how to work in a group, and it's so frustrating. So we want to teach our kiddos the green choices to make, so that way when they're older and they have to go to work or they have to work on a group project in first grade, they know how they need to act and how they need to behave and the words they need to use to interact with others and be successful with that. So another thing I do is, because obviously I'm not gonna take this off the wall and carry this around my classroom, but we all know when you're on the playground, behaviors happen. When you are at the table for snack, behaviors happen. So what I do is I make a mini green and red choice card. So I took a piece of paper, I put green on it and red on it, and I printed the cards smaller. So they are exactly the same as the big cards. And the visuals are super simple for little learners. There's no background on them. That way they can read and understand them quickly. So I use this a lot at journal time, because journal time is the end of our day and they're tired. So I'll say, oh, are you using the marker safely? You know, when they're stabbing it on the paper, making those big dot explosions. Can you show me how to use use your marker safely? Can you show me? And I'll just point to this and pair it with the words, can you use your marker safely? And that can turn that green choice. They're stabbing the paper into, and maybe they were doing it because they needed some sensory and they were doing it because it felt good, just stabbing the marker on the paper. But now they're like, oh, this isn't good. Look what's happening to the marker. They may not even notice that it's, you know, splashing everywhere, or they may just think it's fun. Because it probably is fun to do, let's be honest. Who doesn't want to do crazy stuff sometimes just because it feels good? So yeah, so this is great to take on the playground, to use for small group. And then again, I have the same ones on here as I do on here, or you want me to tell you my trick with this? On the back, I have extra ones. So let's use walking feet. Like I said, my kiddos are running this year everywhere. So I would probably switch that out and put it on the front. And look, you can just switch it out. Maybe they're having an issue sharing, but you're at the table, so you don't need the walking feet one anymore. You can say, oh, can you share the marker with your friend? Oh, okay, great. And then you can just quickly switch them out, and they're right there. And all you do is put Velcro on the back and the extra cards on the back. Super, super simple. Another thing you can do is put it on a lanyard, or like a ribbon or whatever. Like maybe you have to carry your keys around. Just put it on there. You can put again, it's these same cards. Just print out another set, hole punch them. And I haven't used this in a couple years just because I haven't needed it. I've been able to use this and it's worked. So if I need a visual support, I will just keep like 3 on here. That way I can flip it really quick. Like if maybe I need like walking feet, calm body, and so maybe I just am gonna put walking feet, calm body, and keep my hands and my feet to myself. Maybe I'm just gonna hole punch that, put it on the ring. So maybe when you're walking to the bathroom, you can just quickly flip it and go, oh, hey Billy, can you show me your walking feet? Thanks for making a green choice, friend. And you have your visual and you have it right here on your necklace. You don't have to stop, go grab something and go back. Because the quicker you can use that visual, the quicker you can grab it, and the easier access you have it is perfect. And I know I had to wear my keys, so just plop it on here and you're good to go. So yeah, so that's a great way to have a kind of board that goes with you. If you go outside and maybe you have like an emergency backpack, make an extra one of these, put one of those in there so you have one for the playground. Yeah, so, and maybe your kiddos, maybe they have to go to a therapy room, or maybe you're just going down to an assembly. Take this with you. Like, it's portable. Just take it with you. All right. Nicole says that she wears her lanyard all the time and she loves it. I use this like crazy when I had 18 kids in my class. Like I said, now I teach half day and I only have 8 kiddos a day. And my classroom is smaller and we don't go as many places. So I don't use this right now, but I use this like crazy when I was in my full day classroom. If you have a friend who is on maybe a behavior plan or an IEP, and maybe they have 2 goals. Maybe they need to clean up and keep their hands and feet to themselves. And maybe when center time is over, if they clean up and they have kept their hands and feet to themselves, they get a reward. And look at this. It's right here. It's right inside. You don't have to go somewhere else. Maybe Frank loves Thomas trains. Oh, by the way, if you have kiddos who love trains, these are $1 a piece at Walmart by the Thomas section, and they're actually like little Thomas ones. But put whatever reinforcer works for that kiddo in here. Maybe they love penguins. These are actually those plastic pencil pouches. And then you can also put those little timers from the dollar store in it so they know how long they get to play with whatever it is. So you can say, remember, Susie, if you clean up and you keep your hands to yourself during cleanup, remember, you get to play with Thomas for 2 minutes. And that's a huge reinforcer for some of those kiddos. So yeah, so if you have a kiddo who's on a behavior plan, or they just need that extra support, or they need a reinforcer or a token or a prize, or maybe you use token boards with them, this is a perfect way to have the reward. Oops, but yet they can't get to it too. So like if you have this by you, they can't get to it until you open it. So they won't be playing with it a lot until, you know, you get it out. But yet it's really easy to transport. Like maybe you're going to an assembly, or you're, you know, on the playground or something, and maybe they're struggling. Be like, oh, you know what? And again, you can put more Velcro on the back, just like with this. That way you can, you know, put on the ones you need. Oh, you know, if you keep your hands and feet to yourself and, I don't know, like have gentle hands. Like maybe you want gentle hands on here. If you keep your hands in your, oh, that's the same, isn't it? Let's do this. So if you keep your hands and your feet to yourself and you take turns in the sandbox, you get your Thomas for 2 minutes. Don't forget. And you can just show them really quick and be like, oh yeah, oh, I'm gonna try really hard to keep my hands and my feet to himself, because he really wants that reinforcer, right? And the one thing I will say about using reinforcers, make sure they like the reinforcer. If it's a girl and she loves My Little Ponies, just get a little My Little Pony and put it in here. They have at Target and Walmart, they have those little like $1 like surprise packs. Those are great to put in here because they're like the perfect size. They're like McDonald's toys are perfect to put in here. And then if you see that these reinforcers are not working for them, just change them out and just put something else in. Say, you know what? It looks like you're kind of bored with these trains. What else do you love? Oh, you love Lightning McQueen? Great. Put a little Lightning McQueen car in there, and then you are good to go. So if you see these reinforcers not working, change them out. Or you can also too, I don't have this timer with me, but there's and I got these timers in like a 4-pack at the Dollar Tree. Maybe switch it out and make it a shorter time. Like they only get it for a minute or something like that. And then if, just like with anything, you want to eventually fade this throughout the year. That way they don't need this forever. So as you see them being successful and they don't need this reinforcer, you can get rid of it. Okay. Speaking of reinforcers, so some other reinforcers you can do are just verbal praise. You can do high fives, you can do hugs. You can be like, hey, Bobby, like, I really love that green choice. I love those walking feet. Thanks, dude. Or, hey, I don't know. Hey, Malia, I love your gentle hands as you are playing in the sandbox. Great green choice. And you give them a high five. Oh, not hit them, high fives. Just give them those big old high fives. You can give them hugs. If you do parent pickup, oh, where did I get the container at? So some people are asking about the little container. Office Max or Walmart has them, usually. So yeah, they're usually like $1. They're super cheap, and I just like them because they're plastic. You could also use like a pencil pouch too. If you, like a plastic, like zipper one, those work too, as long as they can't see what's inside. So it just needs to be like a pencil pouch that's fabric or something. Yeah. Okay, so reinforcers. So you can do just the verbal praise and the verbal high five, because that's what we want eventually, right? We don't want to have to give out tangible reinforcers, which a tangible reinforcer is a sticker, a little toy to play with, a piece of candy. So we want to eventually fade those tangible reinforcers, but some kids need them, and it's just, they need them, and because the verbal and social praise does not work for them, and that's okay. Do what your kiddos need. If they need a sticker chart, then do a sticker chart. But I would say I wouldn't use tangible reinforcers with your whole class. If you have 1 or 2 friends that need those, totally do that for them. But the whole class is not going to need Skittles every time they make a green choice. One friend might need Skittles to make that green choice as a reinforcer, but the whole class definitely will not need a tangible reinforcer. So use verbal praise, use high fives, use hugs. And also too, when you verbally praise another child and let's say their friend next to them is not making a green choice, that's also called pivot praise. So let's say the little guy one little friend is sitting in body check, or I say body check, but that's just when they are sitting at circle and their hands are to themselves, and they can, for me in my classroom, they can sit crisscross or with their legs out. Basically they just can't W sit in my classroom. So they can, as long as they're sitting and they're keeping them hands to themselves, that's usually totally fine with me, especially for some of those kiddos who physically aren't able to sit in crisscross. I always say body check. It's just something I've done forever. I don't even know where I got it. Probably a veteran teacher when I first started. I can't remember. But we always say if one friend is sitting in body check or they're sitting in circle how you want them and their friend next to them is not, maybe their hands are all up and they're all squirrely, you can be like, hey Frank, I really love the way you're sitting at circle. That's a green choice. Thanks, man. Then your friend next to them is gonna go, oh no, like I want her to praise me too, and they're gonna try and fix their choice and turn their red choice into a green choice so that way you can praise them. And when you see that friend who was making a red choice, Aaron, I will answer your question in just 1 second. When you see that friend who's making that red choice, turn it into a green choice, make sure you praise them. Because if you do not praise a friend who has made a green choice when they weren't making one before, you want to praise that because you'll be like, wow, I love the way you are following directions. Thank you so much. Oh, so I bet that makes your heart feel happy. Something like that. Okay, so one friend, one teacher in the group asked, what do you do if another kiddo is saying, why does he always get the Thomas trains or whatever it is? And I would just read books in the classroom about basically how everyone is different and everyone needs different things. I don't have one next to me, but gosh, I can't think of one off the top of my head. If anybody can think of a book off the top of your head that is about everyone is different and it's okay to be different and one of those type of books. I usually read one of those type of books and be like, you know what, some people need need help, to do this, and some people need help to do that, and some people need help to do whatever. And I will use real examples, but not about kids in my classroom. And then it kind of helps them understand that. But let's say you have Thomas trains in here, and let's say all the other boys are really excited about Thomas trains. What you can do is put out Thomas trains with a game. Let's say you have if you go to my TPT store, I have road number mats. But grab some of these extra trains and put these out with the road number mats and let them drive them on the road. So if there's a tangible reinforcer that you can see that everybody else wants, Everyone is Different by Todd Parr. That's a great one to read. Thank you for that. I just couldn't think of one off the top of my head. He has a new one too. He has a black cover too that is awesome. That would be perfect. I just can't think of what top it is off the top of my head. But yeah, Todd Parr has awesome books about being different. I love his books. But maybe you just put out some Thomas trains in the block center. You can do that too. So that way everybody has an opportunity to use them, but this friend can kind of have them whenever he makes, or maybe she loves Thomas, whenever she does the green choices to get the reinforcer. So have those things available for them, for other kiddos at other times, and then they will get the opportunity to use them too. Giraffes Can't Dance, that's another great one. Thanks guys for helping me out with that. And I did say sticker charts. So somebody had a comment about sticker charts. So I know and it just depends on your school and your setting, in your classroom. There are red and green sticker choice charts in here. Let me grab one. I'll show you. So and some people just love sticker charts. Sticker charts are great for individual kiddos too. So here's an example, one of the sticker charts that's in the book. So if you have a kiddo who really responds to stickers, you can use a sticker chart with them. If you want to use a sticker chart with the whole class, I usually don't use any kind of tangible reinforcer with the whole class, but they are in there. So I also included, and I use these at the beginning when I'm introducing green and red choices, during back to school, or maybe around the holidays or after a break. I will give out these. I'm proud of myself because I made green choices. There are just these they're kind of like a brag tag or a little certificate, and then I write a little comment on them, like Colton used his walking feet to walk to the bathroom, and just put a little comment on there so that way mom and dad or grandma and grandpa can talk to them at home and like praise them at home about their green choices they made. So I will give these out, these little I can make green choices, and I am so proud of myself, little, oh look at that one, little awards as a tangible reinforcer just at the beginning or anytime I see behaviors increasing throughout the year. I use these and then I fade them. So I'll use these, and then once I see we're all kind of back on track, I will fade them. And then if it gets crazy again and I see behaviors happening, maybe it's around the holidays or something like that, I'll bring them back. And then once I see we're back on track, I will fade them away again. And I do not use these all year. So somebody's asking if I leave this up all year. So I do. I totally leave this up all year. We do refer to it all the time. Another thing we do is, it's a great transition activity. I'll pull these off. Like you can do this when you are seeing increased behaviors, or you can do this when you're introducing it at the beginning of the year. Put the choice cards on the ground and say, come up and pick a choice card and tell me if you think if that is a green choice or if you think that is a red choice. It'll also help them learn too what the visuals represent on the card, because they need to be able to read these pictures too, right? Like, oh, I threw my trash can away. That one's kind of easy. Like, oh, you know, they may call this one a tantrum or something like that. So I will literally just spread them out on the carpet and I will call them one at a time as a transition activity. And they'll say, oh, work hard. And they'll say, that's a green choice. And I'll go, oh, it is a green choice. And you can also give a compliment or give a specific way that they can work hard. Oh, it's, you know what, I saw, these two friends putting a puzzle together and they worked really hard on that puzzle. That's a green choice. And that way it, again, generalizes it and it puts that into a classroom setting and it gives them specific examples. So Jessica's asking, how many do I do? And it really depends on my class. If I have a younger class, I will put less up. If I have an older class, I will put more up. It really just depends on my class and how much they can handle. So at the beginning, I might just have, this many up, but I'll spread them out. And then, as we talk about more behaviors and I increase my expectations as the year goes, we can add more up. Or maybe I can change them out, things like that. So yeah, it really just depends on your kiddos, but I would never have it where there's like 5. I would never put out all of them, ever. It's kind of like if at the beginning of the year, you would never put out all the pieces of, I'm throwing these. You would never put out all, if you have a letter puzzle and there's, the whole alphabet, if you put all of them out at once with your class, like that's very overwhelming. So you just want to put out just enough to where it's a visual and it's appropriate and it's not visually or too much of a challenge for them. All right, so let's see. So some other ways. So we talked about how you can pull these off and put them on the floor, and they can put up if it's a green or a red choice and kind of sort the cards. You can use that as a transition activity. You can always read a book, and no matter what book you're reading, you can talk about if the character is making green choices or making red choices. And you will notice too, once you start doing this again, the kiddos will be like, oh wow, that is a red choice. And if they start talking about that red choice that the character's making, be like, oh, well, what could he do to make that a green choice? And you can talk about what he could do to change it. How do you think he's feeling, his friends are feeling? Again, if they start talking about a behavior a character's doing, take that teachable moment and talk about it. Because obviously it's important to them and it's something they've noticed. So use that teachable moment and talk about it. And then pair it with a visual. Be like, oh my gosh, she is working so hard on her art project. Wow, that is a green choice. And super simple. And you can point. And I will say, when you know that you're doing awesome and those behaviors are really working. Maybe you're reading a book at Circle and you see somebody making a green choice, because usually my chair is usually and I will say my chair is like literally in front of the red choice sign for Circle time. So you usually can't even see the red choice when I do Circle. So sometimes I'll be reading a book or I'll see a friend and I'll just go, I can just point to the green choices. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to point to any certain one, I'll just point to the green choices chart. And that's enough of a visual for them, and they'll fix it. Because they may not even notice sometimes that what they're doing is not appropriate. You can also too, if you have a friend who struggles, let's just say, maybe they struggle having a calm body at circle. Or maybe they struggle at circle keeping their hands and their feet together. They're that friend who loves hugging their friend or loves cuddling up to them when you're reading a book. Print off an extra one of these cards, and if you have assigned spots at circle, you can tape it to the ground where their spot is, so that way it's literally a visual reminder for them on the floor. If they are a friend who sits by you for circle, just you can put this on a magnet and put it on your board, and you can just point to it as needed, or maybe they can hold this during circle as a reminder for them. Obviously you wouldn't want them to hold it all year, but just sometimes that works for kiddos, because then it's like they're literally holding the visual and they go, oh yeah. You can also model the green and red choices. Now I will say, if you are modeling green and red choices, you don't want the kids to model the red choices. You want to model the green choices. Especially if you, maybe you have a friend who throws a temper tantrum and everybody watches them during the temper tantrum because, you know, they want an audience, and if that's the whole reason they're having a temper tantrum is to get attention, which happens. You can be like, oh, if somebody is upset, and you don't name names, if somebody's upset, what could we do? Oh, we could give them space and we can ignore them. Or we can look at the speaker. If we see, because you know, they're all like, you know, like, this friend is poking me. You can be like, oh, okay, thanks for letting me know. I loved how you're looking at the speaker. So if maybe somebody's like, I don't know, maybe they're just wiggly and it's bothering them, but it's not hurting them. You can be like, oh, you know what? We can look at the speaker, and that way we won't even notice that's happening. So you can definitely do modeling that way. You can give them ways to practice. So maybe they're having trouble sharing. So what you can do is maybe you have a art activity out for table time. What you can do is, let's say you have 8 kids at the table, only put out 7 or 6 glue sticks. So that way they have to share the glue sticks, but not every time. So you have 8 kids, maybe you put out 6 glue sticks, so they have to share maybe 1 or 2 times when they need that glue. And obviously it wouldn't be an activity where they need the glue the entire time, just maybe for different bits and pieces. Maybe they're doing a cutting class, so they have to cut, and then glue. Put out 8 at the table with 8 kids, put out 6 glue sticks, so they have to share. And if you know you are planning this small group, 1 for cutting and 2 so they have to practice sharing, what you can do is you can have those visuals out, and let's just pretend that this one is sharing, which I don't know where it is right now. Oh, here it is. Here's the sharing card. So you can have this card out at circle, or you can have it on your lanyard, and you can be like, oh, you know what, today we're gonna practice sharing our glue sticks. And you can even tell them, like, we're gonna practice sharing our glue sticks. I don't have enough, and then you're gonna have that kiddo go, oh, I know where some more are in the classroom, I'll go get them. And you'll be like, oh, it's okay, we're just gonna practice sharing our glue sticks today. So today, as you make your cutting clash, we're gonna practice sharing the glue sticks. What words can you say if you need a glue stick? Oh, can I have that when you're done? And you can model the language, tell them that they're gonna practice sharing, or just have the visual support out there, and kind of give them a pre-correction, set them up for success, and then they will practice sharing, so that way next time when they need a glue stick, they will know what to say. Oh, can I have that when you're done? And they can be more successful in the classroom. So we talked about, oh, puppets. I love puppets. Do you guys love puppets? So puppets you used to be able to find at like the Dollar Tree all the time. I know you can probably get some off Amazon. I always keep a bucket of puppets by my circle area, because these are great to model behavior. So maybe you read How Do Dinosaurs Play with Their Friends? And maybe you want to practice some of the green choices the dinosaur made. Or maybe you want to practice or you want to act out some of the green choices they made during the day today. So give everybody a puppet, and you can practice having a calm body. So you can be like, okay, everybody practice your calm body. My elephant has a calm body. But again, you don't want them to practice red choices because you never want them to do a red choice on purpose. So they can practice with the puppets. These are also great if you're having a class meeting. Like maybe your class, maybe all of a sudden they are just really struggling with cleanup. How often does that happen, right? So maybe all of a sudden it's October and they're all of a sudden really struggling with cleanup. Have a class meeting about it. Like, you know what, you guys? Or maybe you can find a read aloud about it. And say, you know what, I've really noticed that cleanup time has been really hard for us lately. What can we do to make cleanup time better? That way we will have more time to play later. And have them say, oh, well, when the cleanup music comes on, we can clean up right away. So get out the puppets and you can say, okay, we're gonna practice with our puppets. And you can just, turn on your little radio or CD player or whatever you use for music. And you can say, okay, when you hear the music, start cleaning up right away. And you can play it, and then they can pretend to clean up with little puppets. That way they're not having to walk around the room to act anything out. So yeah. Oh, look what's in the bottom of my puppet basket. There's also a song you can do, and y'all, I'm a really bad singer, so don't judge. But it's kind of, I'll just sing it. I can make green choices, green choices, green choices. I can make green choices, let me show you how. And then everybody has their puppet, and you can say, oh, walking feet. I can use walking feet, walking feet, walking feet. I can use walking feet. Let me show you how. You can be like, okay, puppets, let's see your walking feet. And you can be like, do, 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 with your little puppets. So sorry again about my singing. It's not the best. But again, you can sing a song and you can act out things with puppets because then they're acting it out. And that shy friend, maybe they won't speak up. And maybe they won't act it out with their body. But if you give them a puppet, it's not them anymore. And puppets are very, very powerful, especially for kiddos who are shy and who are maybe anxious. Puppets are great because it's not them. Then it's their puppet doing it. So then they might be brave, and when they don't normally participate at circle, or maybe they don't normally sing or act things out, they might do it with a puppet. So again, try puppets. And I just have like a bucket of random ones. So when I give out puppets, I just like throw it to them. So I'll be like, I just like throw them, and they practice catching. So I'm like, great, I get gross motor in, and I can quickly give out the puppets so they're not waiting. So yeah, just a little thing. And then I actually have them toss them back in the bucket at me. So when I say their name, they throw them back at me. So that's super fun. So at the end of the day, or maybe end of circle, or after centers, if you when you're teaching or introducing green and red choices, you can do shout outs, or maybe you see kiddos are struggling with something, or maybe you see a friend who has been struggling with working hard or cleaning up and they finally did it today. You want to celebrate that kiddo or those group of kiddos or your class. So at the end of circle or end of the day, or maybe you have 3 minutes in the hallway saying, oh, we're gonna do shout outs. And I just call them shout outs, and you just shout out all and give your friends compliments, but you refer them back to green choices. So you can say, I saw Cherie making it a green choice. I saw Cherie, she used her walking feet when she walked to wash her hands after finger painting. And you can be like, everybody go, yay, Cherie! And everybody go, yay, Cherie! So you can just do a couple really quick, and you're reinforcing green choices, you're building that positive relationship in your classroom, you're giving them shout outs, you're modeling how to give a friend a compliment, which is really hard for little guys. And again, if you are waiting, maybe I don't know why I always use going to assembly for an example, because when I taught in full day in the high school, we actually never went to an assembly. I don't know why I use it as an example, but maybe you're waiting in line to go to the playground because one friend is still in the bathroom. So anytime you have to wait outside anywhere or before you have to go somewhere and everybody's in a line, it's a perfect time to do shout outs and celebrate your friend's successes. And you can what do you call it? You can refer to green and red choices to reinforce those behaviors, so you can use all those teachable moments in your day and not waste any instruction time. Somebody said they want to see some of the green and red choices up close. So this one's stapled to the wall, but I can show you just some of these little guys. So like this one, share, calm body. It's hard to read upside down. Follow directions. Quiet voice, calm down, learn at the group. Some of the red choices examples are take everything, make someone sad, yell, invade other space. Like the walking feet is just use walking feet. I can show you, so these are the same ones that are on these cards, they're just square. So work hard, work as a team, put my things away, use my words, follow directions, give hugs, play with my friends, listen, use gentle hands, help others, calm body, wait, ask others to play. Do you want to play? Because that's a hard one, right? Trade, answer questions. And I think this is a good one, because how many times do you have kiddos in your classroom and you ask them a question and they give you the silent treatment? So you can be like, you know what, I really want to know what you have to say. And I don't use, it's not really, and I'm not talking about like questions when you're asking them at circle. I'm asking, what I'm referring to more is like when they're upset or when they need something, or you know, when they're standing there and you can tell they need something or they're upset and you don't know what is wrong. I can be like, you know what, it's a green choice to answer my question. Can you tell me how I can help? Or can you tell me what's wrong? Or do you need something? So those are the kind of questions. I don't mean like, okay, you know, what is the, what color is this? So it's more about like how you feel questions. When you know, like when a kiddo's upset and they need help, but you need to know how to help them. So that's the question I'm talking about. I can keep my hands and feet to myself. I can use kind words. I can use material safely. I can sit crisscross. And again, if you have kiddos who aren't able to all sit crisscross, you can leave that one out. I can try my best. I can throw away trash. I can learn at group. I can use a quiet voice. I can calm down when I'm upset. I can recycle my trash. I can look at the speaker. I can clean up. And it just keeps going. Like there are tons and tons and tons of green choices. Oh, so somebody's asking about the classroom rules. So these are my classroom rules, and they go right along with green and red choices. So our rules are, and they're super simple, we take care of ourselves, we take care of each other, we take care of our school, and we take care of our world. So super, super simple. So if a kiddo is not making green choices, I usually try ignoring, and like I use pivot praise a lot. I will praise the person next to them really loudly to see if that will work. But I think that was probably a whole another Facebook Live topic. But I use, again, I will try and do the pre-correction. I'll give pivot praise and I'll use the visual. And if those things aren't working, usually there's something else going on with that kiddo, or that kiddo might need a personal green and red choice board. They may need to be put on some kind of token system. So if a kiddo you see is really, really struggling and they're having trouble making green choices, oh, this fell off. It might be time to get some extra help in the classroom for them, or maybe consult a therapist that works in your classroom, or get your admin team on board, or have someone come observe them in your classroom and you to see how maybe what you can do in your classroom to set them up for more success. Because this should work for most kiddos. It will not work for, I use it with every kiddo, but the kiddos that this universal, just the big boards don't, that not that it's not working for them, they just may need extra support. So they may need their own green and red choice board. They may need a reinforcer, something like that, like a tangible reinforcer. So yes, so I hope you have an amazing night. If you have more questions, you can hop over to the Pocket of Preschool Facebook group, ask over there. You can ask on TPT if you have more questions there. But if you want this for your classroom, you can grab it on TPT. And if you want to see it in other classrooms, you can go over the Pocket of Preschool Facebook group. In the little search bar, just search green and red choices and a whole bunch of people's will pop up. So you can see how they have it set up in their classroom as well. So I hope this was awesome for you. I hope this helped you figure out how you want to do green and red choices in your classroom, or if you want to try it. That would be awesome too. So you guys have a good night.